What would you do if the most powerful man in the world gave you just 48 hours to hand over your country's gold and oil or face destruction? This wasn't a movie. It wasn't a rumor. It was real. A single classified cable landed on the desk of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the leader of Burkina Faso. At the bottom, a name the whole world knows: Donald J. Trump. The message? 60% of your oil, 60% of your gold, control of your economy for decades. Agree, or we will break you. It was blunt, it was cold, and it was not diplomacy. This was economic warfare, and the countdown had already begun. But Trump didn't expect what came next. It all started with a leak. A single line hidden deep in a classified cable. But that one sentence was enough to rattle an entire country. Traoré had just 48 hours to deliver 60% of Burkina Faso's oil and gold, or face serious consequences. And the name at the bottom? Donald J. Trump, then President of the United States. He wasn't just playing politics, he was running a hard-hitting global business offensive through backdoor diplomacy. Not talks, not deals, just a flat-out ultimatum to hand over almost complete control of the country's newly found oil and gold reserves. This wasn't negotiation. It was a threat, aimed at the heart of Ouagadougou. The cable didn't just show up, it was hand-delivered by a former U.S. military attaché flanked by private American security contractors. It landed on Captain Ibrahim Traoré's desk at dawn. The message was crystal clear. Let U.S. corporations start extracting oil and exporting gold immediately. Hand over long-term control of Burkina Faso's energy policy to an American-led economic board. Do it in 48 hours, or face sanctions, resource blockades, and internal sabotage. Trump's tone was blunt, cold, and all business. We saved you from terrorism. Now, it's time to pay up. But Trump didn't count on the man across from him. Traoré didn't flinch. He called his intelligence chief. He called his top military commander. And he gave them one order. Tell the Americans, Burkina Faso is not for sale. For months, something huge had been kept under wraps. Beneath the dry plains of northern Burkina Faso, massive untouched oil reserves, confirmed by a secret geological task force with Russian engineers, Iranian drones, and North Korean tech teams. Everything was classified, until the satellites caught it. American satellites, French satellites. They saw the drills, they saw the gold, and they understood exactly what this meant. Here was a country with oil and gold, not run by Wall Street, not answering to Paris, not begging the IMF, but backed by its own people, its own army, its own vision. Washington didn't just want the oil, they wanted to kill the idea before other African nations followed. And so, the 7-page ultimatum arrived. 60% of the oil, control of the gold export routes. An American board deciding Burkina Faso's future. In return, promises of security, technology, and protection from regime change. At noon, the nation watched as Traoré faced the camera. His voice was calm, his stare razor sharp. We are not Libya. We are not Iraq. We are not your playground. We will never trade our land for your luxury.